Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It's Burning Clay, and I am back with another Digimon TCG deck profile video. Now, I know I mentioned in my Armored Vmon deck profile video that would be my last BT8 deck profile. However, I was not expecting to come across what has now become one of my favorite decks in the Digimon format. I was looking around after I got my boxes, and I had enough between the starter decks and the boxes that I've got to build the Imperial Dramon. But it's one of those things where I can't stand playing the same thing that everyone else is playing, so I immediately started searching, trying to find ideas that I could run in the BT8 format. And I came across this crazy Creepymon 9 memory combo deck. I don't know if you've heard about it, but I thoroughly enjoy this deck. Now, I will say, before I get in too far with the deck profile, that the deck can be extremely temperamental. I've went through many different versions based on some different ideas that I saw, and I've come across this one that I'm going to give you today that I feel is the most consistent and gives you the most ways to play if you're not able to have the pieces to make the combo work. But we will get into that as we go along. So I'll do the deck profile. I'll even show a quick little example of how you pull this combo off, and then we'll talk about some cards that you might could swap into it, and then we'll see what you guys think of it there. But without further ado, I've wasted enough time. Let's get right into this deck profile. Naturally, we're going to start off with our Digitama, and we are going to start off with 4 copies of Digimon. Now, this is the BT3 version that has the inheritable ability of on deletion, trigger a draw 1, then trash 1 card from your hand. It is the only Digitama that actually allows you to trash a card from your hand, which is going to be key in order to make sure that this deck runs at its full potential. Now, some other cards that you could think about running in here if you wanted to run a 5th Digitama could be the Tsunamon from BT6 or even the Demimeramon from BT8. Both of them allow you to get a card draw off of trashing a card either from your hand or your deck. It would fit in here if you wanted that extra card draw, but I do think Demimeramon from BT3 is the best option. If you wanted to run a 5th, you could. I don't think it's necessary though. Moving right along, we're going to get into our level 3s, and up first will be 4 copies of Gabumon. Now, this is the BT2 version, and he has the inheritable ability of on deletion, you trigger a draw 2, then trash 1 card from your hand. Basically, it's a slightly better version of Demimeramon's effect, and the skill allows you to play aggressively if you want to, or if you wanted to set up a big play later on to where you can cycle through your deck, you can. So it gives you options as far as how you want to play. Either go in, swing early, try to get deleted to start getting that cycle, or if you wanted to set a big one up later, which you can do based on the cards that we have, you could set up a huge chain of being able to draw and trash, draw and trash. It just depends on what you want, but it's a very good card for that. Up next, we are going to be looking at 4 copies of Tsunamon, and I do like Gabumon better as a Digivolution source, but Tsunamon does have a nice inheritable ability of on deletion, you gain 1 memory. So I do prefer the card draw, but however, having this extra memory on board to where if you get deleted, you gain a memory will really be beneficial when it comes to some of our late game plays, to where potentially that 9 memory combo that I mentioned a while ago could actually become a 10 memory combo, which just makes it even stronger. But that's just depending on how you have your board set up. It is still, regardless, a nice card to have just because it gives you a little bit of flexibility with your memory. We're going to finish up our level 3s with 2 copies of Gazimon. Gazimon has that all turns ability that your opponent cannot gain memory except with a Tamer effect. Nothing really fancy with this card. It's just a nice card to be able to play that hampers your opponent from being able to take the full advantage of any shenanigans that they're trying to do. And if your opponent has to take time to take care of Gazimon, then that's just more time for you to be able to set up your plays. Moving right along, we're getting into our level 4s. And up first, we're going to run 3 copies of Genkakumon Promote. Now, Genkakumon Promote does have the rush ability, so that means that if you either play him or you Digivolve on top of another Digimon, he can attack on the first turn. Now, he does have the on-play ability to where you can place either a Genkaku or Kinkaku from your trash as its Digivolution source. We are not running the full promote package, so this will not be an option if you ran this deck the exact way that I have it built currently. I have tested it with the full promote package, and it still works. I just found it to be a little clunky at times and a little slow, and it kind of stalled you out as far as your setup because you were having to try to choose between whether you were going to trash the promote package or your level 5s, which in all honesty, the level 5s are the more important part to trash. Still, running just a promote is a good target to be trashed, but it's also good to have in hand if you have to keep it, because then you can play it on top of your level 3s and especially your level 4s as a potential rush card. Next, we're going to be looking at 4 copies of Eismon Scatter Mode. Now, this has the on deletion ability to draw 3 and then trash 2 cards from your hand. In my opinion, this is easily the best purple card when it comes to cycling for your deck, and potentially probably the best card in the entire Digimon TCG when it comes to cycling through your deck. It's a nice card to have. 2 Digivolve for on top of a level 3, so you can get it on for cheap, and it really allows you to be aggressive regardless of whether you are early or late game. Just knowing that you're going to have at least a minimum of a draw 3 and then be able to trash 2 cards is huge. And then when you start piling on top of, say, a Gabumon or a Demimeramon, then you're looking at potentially up to 6 cards you're drawing, 4 cards that you're trashing, which is only going to help your trash get exactly what you need in it. Up next, we are going to run our 1 copy of Eismon. Now, Eismon has that nice ability that if you trash this card using an effect, and you have an Eismon Scatter Mode in your trash, you can actually play this card without paying its memory cost. Then, on your turn, for each Eismon Scatter Mode that is in your trash, this Digimon gets plus 2000 DP. So because we are running the 4 scatter modes, there is a chance that this card could be extremely powerful as a level 4. However, more often than not, we're going to try to use this kind of as a quick ladder for our promotes or either our level 5s to be able to already have a level 4 on the field for free that we don't have to worry about memory with or spending memory on to get. And it really just ramps up our ability to get into either a rush card or our level 5s that we need to make our even stronger plays. Even if it ends up in the trash at some point, we're not too worried about it because we do have a few ways that we can pull it back if need be. I mean, we are talking about a purple deck after all, so the trash isn't anything to be scared of. Next, we're going to be running 2 copies of Soulmon. Now, this is a card that came out in BT8, and it has the inheritable ability of on your turn, once per turn, when a card is trashed from your deck, you gain a memory. Now, this is a flex spot within the deck. You could run some other cards if you wanted to, maybe if you even wanted to fit back in the promote package. But it is a nice card to have with its ability to gain you an extra memory, as we do have a few ways that this deck can trash cards straight from the deck to trigger this memory gain. Finally, we're going to wrap up our level 4s with 2 copies of Devimon. Now, Devimon is a blocker, and you really don't want to be attacking with him too much because when attacking you do lose 2 memory, and this is another flex spot within the deck, but it is a nice card to have available. It's only 5000 DP, so you're not really going to have much of a chance as far as surviving against stronger Digimon if you block. But if we throw it in the trash for any reason, we can get it back. Not only is it blocker, but it also makes for a nice tempo efficient card, being only a 1 cost to devolve on top of a level 3. So it kind of makes our plays to get into a level 5 if we need to a little easier. Speaking of level 5s, we are also going to be running 4 copies of Cerberusmon. Now, Cerberusmon has the native ability of on deletion, you trigger a draw 2, and then you trash 1 card from your hand. This card is the second highest priority of the deck as far as getting it safely onto the field. Without this card in play, the combo doesn't work. So you have to make sure that you're able to get it on the field safely. And by safely, I mean you have to make sure that your opponent cannot get to it on their turn. A lot of times when I was playtesting with it, I would Digivolve into it as my last move of a turn, and that was stupid because it often left it vulnerable to my opponent because it is only 6,000 DP, and there are a lot of actions and effects now that if you're not over that 6,000 DP threshold, you can be taken off the board at any moment. So you have to make sure that you get this on the field safely to make everything work. Speaking of making everything work, we need 4 copies of Cerberusmon Werewolf Mode. Now, Cerberusmon Werewolf Mode has Rush, so that means that it can attack immediately upon arriving on the field. And on play, you can actually delete one of your Cerberusmon to gain 9 memory. So the top priority of this deck is making sure that this card is in the trash. However, it is a strong card if you Digivolve into it normally. It is 9,000 DP. And if you happen to have it in hand and you have no other plays, you can Digivolve, or you can play it for free as long as you have a Cerberusmon on the field. But the biggest play is if we are able to play it from our trash. And how are we going to play it from our trash? Well, the answer is Creepymon. Now, we are running 2 copies of Creepymon in my deck format, and it has the when Digivolving ability to trash the top 2 cards of your deck for each of your opponent's Digimon in play. And if you trash 4 or more cards with this effect, you can play 1 level 5 or lower purple Digimon from your trash without paying its memory cost. So that's how we're going to be able to pull off this combo. Now, it also has the ability of when attacking once per turn, for every 10 cards in your trash, you trash the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck, and this Digimon gets 3,000 DP for the turn. So that would make Creepymon a 14k DP going into security or your opponent's Digimon. So this is the final piece of this deck's ultimate attack. You do need to make sure that your opponent has at least 2 Digimon in play to be able to activate the effects, so be careful when you're doing that. But also be careful that your opponent doesn't have too many Digimon on the field, because if you Digivolve and they have, say, 5 or 6 Digimon in play, and then you're looking at trashing 10 to 12 cards, and before you know it, you can actually deck out pretty easily with this card. Also, you want to try to make sure that you do have your werewolf mode in the trash, because, you know, even if you're able to get it off, if you don't have that Cerberusmon werewolf mode to be able to pull off the combo, what's the point? If you don't have it in trash, this would be the one moment where it might not be a bad idea to Digivolve this card with a ton of opponents' Digimon on the field. That way you could actually make sure you have enough trash from your deck to potentially get that werewolf mode in the trash. Now, I'm also running 2 copies of Tamer. Tamer has the when Digivolving ability to trash 1 card in your hand, and then you can play a purple level 4 or lower Digimon card from your trash without paying its memory cost. Then, on your turn, once per turn, if you trash a card from your hand using one of your effects, this Digimon gets 2,000 DP and security attack +1. So being able to buff up Tamer to 14k and then be able to get 2 swings into security can be pretty clutch at times. And while it's not as powerful as the Creepymon Cerberusmon combo, your Tamer promote combo can be a nice way to be able to finish off the game. With that being said, I'm running 2 Tamer basically because I only have 2 Creepymon. If I had more Creepymon, I would seriously consider running 4 Creepymon and not any other level 6s. So, but based on what I have to make this deck with, I do think Tamer fits in very well with the other cards that we have. And like I said, being able to play a promote from your trash late game for, say, a finishing move is pretty nice in my opinion. Now we're also running a level 7, and that will be 2 copies of Omnimon's Wart. Omnimon's Wart has the when evolving ability to trash the top 3 cards of your deck, and then you can play up to 2 black or purple Digimon cards with play cost of 8 or less from your trash without paying their memory. Then, if you attack, you can return 1 level 6 Digimon card from this Digimon's Digivolution sources back to the owner's hand in order to delete one of your opponent's unsuspended Digimon with a play cost of 12 or less. So this is a nice way for us to be able to start cycling cards back to our hand while also putting more cards on the board to where we can continue to make plays after we've completed our Creepymon, Cerberusmon 9 memory combo play. It does stink that the play cost cap at 8 or less does prevent you from being able to play another Cerberusmon with this evolution, but what you can do is you can actually play just a regular Cerberusmon with this ability. It only caps the play cost, it doesn't cap the level that the Digimon is at. Cerberusmon is a 6 cost to play, so what my favorite combo to do is when I Digivolve here, I would play 1 Promote and 1 Cerberusmon, and then that gives me the ability to run back that 9 memory combo one more time. Now moving on into our options, we are going to run 2 copies of Jack Raid. Jack Raid's main ability is to gain 1 memory for every 10 cards in your trash, and then if it's hit in security, you gain 2 memory. Now, I'm not a big fan of seeing this card in my hand in the early game. I would much rather see it come out of security or draw it late game if possible. Especially late game. If you get it late game where your trash is built up, this can be a monster card, especially if you manage to pull both of them in your hand at the same time. Next, we're going to be running 1 copy of Underworld's Call, and this is a card that if you trash it using one of your effects, you can actually trigger a draw 1, but its main effect is that it allows you to play a level 4 purple Digimon or lower from your trash without paying its memory cost. The obvious target here would be your Promote, but the Scatter mode is also a nice target if you need to try to cycle through your deck to try to get certain cards. If this card is hit in security, it allows you to activate that main effect. The next option card we're looking at will be 2 copies of Calling from the Darkness. Now the main effect of this card, it allows you to delete one of your Digimon, and then in return you can take 2 purple Digimon from your trash and put them back in your hand. If it's hit in security, you just add it to your hand. So this is a nice 2-for-1 trade, and it really gives you the ability to pull specific cards that you need out of your trash if you're looking to make your big finishing combo. We're also going to be running 2 copies of Deathclaw. Now, Deathclaw's main ability allows you to delete one of your Digimon to delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. If it's hit in security, you just get to delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. So when I was playtesting with this deck, before I actually ran this card, I didn't realize just how much I needed it until I started running it. There would be times where it would, the opponent's threatening for lethal, and if I just had a way to get one of their cards off the board, I would be fine. I got everything in my hand to set up my combo. I'm ready to go. I just cannot survive their next round of attacks. This is a nice card to have if you have that. Yes, you do have to sacrifice one of your Digimon in order to do it, but a lot of times that's going to benefit you in the form of either a memory gain or being able to draw cards. So this is definitely a card that I would have in my deck if possible. We're going to round out our options with 1 copy of Win Rate 60%. If you have a Tamer in play, you can use this option card without meeting its color requirements. So we are going to have to make sure that we have a Tamer in play to run this because we are not running any white Digimon. Now, its main effects allows you to, the next time that one of your Digimon digivolves, on this turn you can trash 1 Digimon card from your hand that is the same color of the digivolving Digimon to reduce the memory cost by 4. If it's hit in security, you add it to your hand. So this isn't necessarily a critical card for you to have in this deck, but it is a card that can be helpful. One, it's nice that it allows you to actually trash a card to activate the effect. So, you can make sure that you actually put a card in trash that you need if you don't have it there already. And it's not going to be a huge reduction in the cost because you do have to pay 2 just to play the card. So while you would be able to reduce Tidemon's 4 Digivolution cost down to 0, you're still going to have to pay 2. And then the same goes for Omnimon's Wart, where instead of paying 6, you're only going to pay 4. So it's not going to reduce it completely out, say, like what you would typically get if you used a Hidden Potential Discovered in a green deck. But if you are kind of tight on memory, this could be a card that would help you be able to get a Digivolution off in order and keep the memory counter on your side if need be. Could you switch it out for another card? Most definitely. Now let's get into our Tamers, and we will start off with 3 copies of Matt Ashita from BT2. Now this will be our memory setter Tamer to make sure that we always start off with 3 memory, but he also has the nice on-play ability to return 1 purple Digimon or 1 purple option card from your trash back to your hand. If it's hidden security, you play it without paying its memory cost. So this is a great way that if we need to, we can start pulling cards back from the trash, whether it is a Digimon or an option card, depending on what you need, like a Jack Raid if you want that extra memory, or if you want to bring back Underworld's Call or anything like that, it's there. This is also nice to be able to pull, say, a Devimon if you want to play a random blocker for, making sure that your opponent no longer threatens lethal. So it's a really nice card to have. So our last card of the deck will be 3 copies of Analog Youth. Now, Analog Youth has the on-play ability to reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 Digimon card among them to your hand, and trash the remaining cards. Then on all turns, when one of your level 5 or higher Digimon with Digivolution cards is deleted, you can suspend this Tamer, and if you do, you gain a memory and can hatch a Digi-Egg into the empty space of your breeding area. With all Tamers, if it's hidden security, you play it without paying its memory cost. So this is one of my absolute favorite cards to see early on. It's only a 2 cost to play, so it's really cheap, especially early on if you're trying to choke your opponent on the memory counter. It's also a nice way to, 1, pull a specific Digimon card that you might need into your hand, but even better, it starts your trash building. And then when you start looking at our big, powerful 9 memory combo play, it pairs really well with Cerberusmon and actually can make that into a 10 cost play, or potentially, if we have other cards in play, we could be looking up to 11 memory gained with our combo. Speaking of our combo, this is how it will work. So to pull it off, you really need at least 2 level 5s in play, with 1 being a Cerberusmon and then a Creepymon in hand. Now, if you don't have 2 level 5s in play, if you have at least a level 4 and a Cerberusmon, that is fine too, as long as you have enough memory to be able to Digivolve into a level 5 and then still be able to make another Digivolution into Creepymon. Now, at this point too, you want to make sure that you have werewolf mode in the trash already to make sure that the combo pops off. Memory is not a factor as long as you have enough to get into your Creepymon. So, say if we only had a level 4 and a Cerberusmon, and we were at 2 memory, and we needed to get, to Digivolve into another Cerberusmon to be able to get into our Creepymon, that's not going to work. But as long as we are at 2 level 5s with Creepymon in hand and a Cerberusmon on the board, we're good to go. So memory isn't a factor. Although it's a little fun if you have enough memory to where when you Digivolve into Creepymon, it moves over to your opponent's side and they think it's going to be their turn, and then you pull this combo off and then watch the look on their face. It's a pretty fun feeling. Alright, so now we have everything set up. We have our 2 level 5s with a Cerberusmon, and what we'll do is we're going to Digivolve into Creepymon for 3. Once we Digivolve into our Creepymon, we'll trash our cards, and then we will play our werewolf mode. werewolf mode comes on the field, its on play effect activates, allowing us to delete our Cerberusmon, and then at that point we will start our turn with we will continue our turn with a minimum of 6 memory. And what I mean by this is the worst case scenario for you is that you will start your Digivolution into Creepymon with 0 memory. Creepymon is a 3 cost to Digivolve, so you're going to move your memory counter to 3 on your opponent's side, but once you get your 9 memory back from Werewolf mode and the Cerberusmon deletion, you will then gain 9 memory, taking you to 6. At that point, if you have any additional memory that you can gain based on the cards that you have on the field, you could be looking at even more. But the fact that we are going to start with a minimum of 6 is fantastic. Because what can we do at this point? Well, one option is that we have Cerberusmon with Rush and we can attack with him. Great. Then at that point, you could Digivolve into a Titamon and make a play for a Promote, and then have another card attack into Security. So at that point, you're already looking at 2 cards into Security, and you still have Creepymon that has an attack, and you still have a minimum of 2 memory. The big play that you can make, though, is if you happen to have another, or not another, but a Omnimon Zwart in hand as well, because with 6 memory, you have enough memory to be able to Digivolve into your Omnimon Zwart. Once you do that, you trash your top 3 cards, and you put 2 more cards back in play. So we're going to say what we'll do is we're going to move our memory counter to 0. We are going to Digivolve into Zwart, and then we are going to play a Promote, and we're going to play another Cerberusmon. Great. Now we're going to attack with Omnimon Zwart, allowing us to pull our Creepymon back into our hand. So if we wanted to get really greedy, we could also attack with our Promote. So there's 2 checks already. If you wanted to get extra greedy, you could try to attack with your Werewolf mode that is still on the board with Rush. However, what we could do is we could then turn around and Digivolve that Werewolf mode into another Creepymon that we just pulled back from our hand for 3 cost, allowing us to once again pull a Cerberusmon Werewolf mode out of trash, play it on the field, trash the Cerberusmon that we just brought back, and we again have our combo going where we're back to 6 memory. We still could attack with Creepymon and make our opponent trash at least the top 3 cards of their deck. You still have the Promote that you could attack with if you haven't already attacked with it, so that's a possible 3. Then you already have another Cerberusmon that you could attack with. That would be 4. If that survives, you could Digivolve into a Titamon and pull out another Promote, and then that's 5. So as long as you have the cards in hand, you could make this work similar to the old Lilith loop that made purple so popular for a while. I love this deck. I love what it can do. It can just be extremely frustrating to run at times because when this deck works well, it is amazing. It's just a matter of being able to get it set up. However, from my play testing with the different versions of the deck that I ran, I did find that this deck was the most consistent and actually gave you a few different options to be able to play with as far as being able to actually be competitive, where some of the other options were either too slow to set up, or I ran one that it seemed like I was at a threat to deck out from all of the drawing and trashing that I was doing with my cards, and I was decking out before I actually had a chance to pull off my combos. So this one was probably the most consistent, but there are some other cards that you could run if you wanted to. Some of our other cards include Elecmon. You could also run the Gabumon from the starter deck number 6. Labramon is also an option. All of these are good rookies to run. The Gabumon has the inheritable ability of when attacking, you draw 1, trash 1. Labramon allows you to draw and trash on play, and Elecmon would allow you to delete an opposing level 3 Digimon. If you wanted to, you do have Ginkaku and Kinkakumon that you could run as part of the promote package. I also saw a deck that ran with Troopmon. Troopmon has the on deletion ability that allows you to play another Troopmon from your hand without paying its memory cost. I did try this out. It was okay. It's a nice way for you to be aggressive if you have a Troopmon in hand, because then you can swing into security with this card, still get a security check off, but then you can just basically replace its body on the field with another Troopmon. It worked okay. It wasn't huge. One card that I'm even considering swapping into this deck as we speak is the Demonic Blaster, which allows you to delete one of your Digimon in order to unsuspend one of your Digimon. I do think this would be a nice target for, say, if you wanted to attack with Creepymon before going into a Omnimon's Wart. That way you could then swing again with Omnimon's Wart and then pull the Creepymon back to be able to make your plays with the Creepymon Cerberusmon combo cycle. It would be a nice card to have, especially late game if I have the memory, and even if I'm not looking to necessarily continue my cycle, just to be able to delete a Digimon, unsuspend, and then swing for game. It's only a 1 cost to play, so I think it's a nice card, and I'm definitely going to try to find a way to add it into the deck, I think, at some point. But that'll do it for this deck profile. I hope you enjoyed. What I really want you guys to do is actually go out and try a variation of this deck, whether it is from my deck profile or another deck profile, or if there's something that you saw while I was discussing this that you wanted to try, and then get back in the comments and let me know how it went, because I really do enjoy this deck. I want to play it some more. I wanted to play it this weekend, but due to moving from one house to another, I'm not going to be able to do it, so that's why I went ahead and tried to drop this deck profile now. So anything that y'all do as far as changes, please let me know, because I really do enjoy it. I think it's a fun deck to play. But that's enough of me rambling. I've kept you guys here far too long. I do hope that you enjoyed it, and until then, we'll catch you in the next video.